So what I'm going to talk about here is how to become number one in whatever niche you're in. And it's pretty hard to be number one in something if you don't choose a niche. That's the first part of it. And many times when people are not getting momentum in a business, we find that if they did niche it down to where they're strongest, they make the most money, or they already have the most momentum, or where there's the most demand, everything starts going faster. If you establish yourself in a very specific area and you stick to it long term, then you have the chance to maybe be preeminent, like Robert Cialdini is a foundational expert in influence and persuasion. Dan Sullivan, he says there's two types of knowledge in the world. There's worthless knowledge, and then there's specialized knowledge. And one of our core values in our company is speed of implementation. And I think moving quick and trying things, you can iterate and you can learn 200 times over while someone else is thinking about a master plan, and then when they try it, it doesn't work. And it doesn't work for 19 reasons, and they're only going to learn one or two of those reasons from that one experiment. So the more you're experimenting without risking, hurting reputation, losing people's money, et cetera, then sometimes the better. So the main point here of this talk is that if you want to be number one, a great way to give yourself a shot at that is to outlearn everybody in the niche. And so the big advantage of people who are not yet the gorilla of your niche is they can't refocus and laser focus like you could and innovate like they could. They said some people, when they get successful to a certain level, they met some basic needs, they just relax a bit. But he said the clients that really get to a much, much higher level, they have a deeper ambition and a deeper drive, and they're not settling for an okay life. Peter Thiel says that extreme focus is a superpower because most people can't hold it, they can't do that, and there are trade-offs and sacrifices when you say, this is what we're going to do. And Steve Jobs says that the definition of a focus is having something that leverages your DNA, you could do a world-class job, it'd make you a ton of money, and you still say no to it. So one of the statements I read to myself every morning is I say no to things I know could make me money. Because otherwise you'll never have any type of focus, because there's lots of things that can make you money, but it's scarcity mindset to think you have to chase every single rabbit that passes you by. And the founder of Blackstone says you'll never take down an elephant if you're chasing 5 rabbits.
My routine every morning is to get up and look in the mirror and say, what can I do today to help somebody have a better day? We talked about the social impact. We got a lot of impact, social impact going around the globe today. In these 44 countries that I mentioned, I worked in some of the most challenging parts of the world. Sudan, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Iraq, Iran, Lebanon. I've worked in all those countries. Richard also said, find a niche. Well, I found my niche. Find the worst problem, come up with a solution, go solve it, and go do the next one. About find a niche, stay in your lane, and don't get out of it. And I often say, do not get over your skis. That's what we do. But more importantly, is we're looking at how we're going to solve the food waste problem. Food security is another issue that has been overlooked. As we look and as we continue to develop, so when we started our fund, we didn't want to start a fund just to be a fund. We wanted to start a fund to be able to focus on the things that we know how to do and been doing for 88 years. Our objective is to build use new technology, and to build facilities, pre-cooling equipment, to be able to eliminate the waste.
From being a pro athlete, $1 million lesson I learned would be your network is your net worth. You won't always rise to the level of your goals, but you'll always fall to the level of your standards.
I would say alignment is everything. And it's not just alignment, it's alignment across the board. We live in an industry where, we get access to opportunities and wealth really early. And, we're in a lot of ways forced into a situation where we're hiring people around us, and we're hiring people for jobs that we don't quite fully understand the full breadth of. So figuring out those places where you can align with people with values, align on personality and align on the end game, it takes you really knowing the direction that you want to head in. But if you're able to align with the right people, it gives you an opportunity to get comfortable with that person while you learn the different skill sets.
I think the repeat theme that we can all take away here is relationships is a huge one that you've got to continue to invest in. Investing in yourself is another one. One of the things Joe Polish always taught me was school is never out for the pros. So you're always reading, you're always looking for the next edge, you're always building. That's just part of your routine. And everybody up here also talked about having a vision. And when I did well and people were asking me, how did you get here? I said it was because of my vision. So many people looked at that as a lookover point. And so many people don't understand what it really takes to craft one that's so clear that you could have jumped in my life at certain points when I was doing well and I had a crystal clear one.
So you can be very humble and start very small and still have very big expectations of yourself. And if you don't lose that vision along the way and become discouraged, keep that feeling of success in your heart and in your mind, then we did succeed, yes. Well, I would just say taking responsibility for everyone's job, knowing how to do it, knowing what has to get from our warehouse to the shelf and to the consumer, and not letting any of those responsibilities drop or expecting somebody else to do it. You might hire the professionals to do those jobs, but you'd better be prepared to do it yourself at any moment.
You know, we live in a first world country. You go to the store, it seems like everything is there. And so people have a commonly held misconception. They say, I don't know why people haven't thought of this idea. I don't see it anywhere. They thought of it, they just couldn't get it into your store. So it's like a distribution play. Anytime you got a UPC code on it, anytime it is a consumer product, you're talking about distribution, you're talking about physical delivery. And so that's where it all breaks down. So we learned that, and it kicked our butt, and then we learned our lessons, and then we did some kicking of our own. That's why I wear boots today. Well, what we tell our clients today, we ask them, is why are you in business? So that's the first question, like, why are you doing it? And if they say, oh, well, it's my passion, we say, well, good luck with that. We really can't help you. Or if they say, well, I'm going to give it to my kids. Well, that's fine as long as the kids want to do what you want to do. But the ones we like are the ones that say, I want to build this brand equity up to a point where it becomes monetized through an acquisition. We say, now we can help you. As soon as you chose a niche, as soon as you chose a price point, your goals were written on the wall. And they were written on the wall of the escrow office that closed the last deal. And you need to check in with him every year. You can talk to young people to your blue about your values. Everybody does that, every company does that. But when you demonstrate and dramatize a real event that took place in history, where your father or your grandfather, whoever started your family office, took a very bold action or demonstrated some real courage or showed conviction or empathy or any of these values, they remember that scene.
Working with your community is always a great idea. Support the people around you and around the markets where your product or your service is available.